Matt Canning, bodybuildingpro.com. Today I want to speak just a little bit about a pro bodybuilder who passed away September 11, 2011, one who I was at the 2007 Arnold Classic Expo in the vicinity of, but never had the pleasure to actually meet, but was able to meet him through, at least communicate with him through email, who was Art Atwood. Art, super nice guy from what I could understand, through my communication with him, was kind enough to respond promptly to me when I sent him an email, and just somebody who I think that I could have been able to get along with in person. Art passed away in 2011, as I said, and there's a really good article about Art on steroidanalysis.com, which you can find if you do a search for it. Art Atwood, also dead at only 37. That's the title. It reads, "Typically we are filled with sorrows and much regret as the need arises to announce that a well-known individual has died due to his or her steroid use. Today we're not so regretful but damn tired. As we're publishing our post regarding the sudden death of Luke Wood, we received news that Art Atwood had died during the same hour. That wasn't the case. Art Atwood died about 1 or 2 weeks basically after, about 12 days after Luke Wood, so it wasn't very close though, in close proximity, but not at the same hour. Art Atwood was merely 37 years old, correct, and suffered a massive heart attack on September 11th of 2011 while at a pool party in Dallas. The facts later came out that it wasn't a pool party, it was the pool area of his condominium. He was walking through it at about 2:30 p.m., fell into the pool. Two people in the area pulled him out and resuscitated him. The damage had been done. He was brought to the hospital. He passed away at the hospital. He had suffered a minor heart attack a month previous to that event, but was unaware, and this was a massive heart attack and cost his life. Attendees of the pool saw Art walking along the pool's edge and witnessed him fall into the water. Unexpectedly, many two pool goers rushed to pull him out, but he'd already turned a pale blue color, and the brief amount of time that he was submerged decreased the probability that Art died of drowning, which he didn't. It was a heart attack. Art Atwood's mask was always over the top, which enabled him to carve out a presence in the muscle scene, such as in magazines and unconventional web-based media. However, it was a shame that he had such a difficult time in reaching the same physique level as other winning bodybuilders in the same weight classes. Art was not exceptionally tall. He was 5'11 and a half, which is kind of tall for a bodybuilder, but not over 6 feet, but received much notice for the width that he managed to carry in his frame. Though this description would motivate novice bodybuilders and gym rats to pursue the same path that Art Atwood took, it may require a second review. I, administrator, had the opportunity to personally observe Art as he worked out while preparing for guest posing engagements. Art's breathing always seemed heavily labored, and he had much difficulty walking a mere 10 to 20 feet from one cable station to another. As is the case with most bodybuilders, Art didn't like to lift too heavy, and most observers joke that his workouts were half-ass. Only since his death are some of us able to reason that the steroid-induced destruction of the cardiovascular system prevents most bodybuilders like Art from ramping up the intensity of their workouts. I agree that Art's intensity wasn't very high. He was very strong. He was lifting heavy weights, but he wasn't doing it with the intensity or with the rep range that would be indicative of perfect form, for instance. It wasn't complete full reps. It was, I guess, in that respect, half-assed, because half reps. And I do think the reasoning might be accurate, that it was because of his cardiovascular system or cardiovascular health. Art was, you got to think, when he turned pro in 2001, he was only 10 years from his death. He was 27 at that time, and you got to think, he was 10 years away from his death. Somebody else might die at 80. At age 70, they're 10 years from their death. So what does that mean? In Art's case, he was 75% complete his life, almost. Art Atwood left behind family and friends, including those that he grew up with in southern Wisconsin and northern Illinois. Art also left behind his unique fan base and an interesting business partner, all who are trying to minimize Art's level of responsibility in all of this. Art's business partner released a statement nearly the same day as his September 11, 2011 death, in the attempt to attribute the fatal heart attack to some family history. That's true. It was stated that he had a family history of heart disease. Following our research efforts to locate previous statements that may support this notion, our results are null. There is nothing readily available in the public domain that can support the belief that Art Atwood, Luke Wood, Sergei Aziz Shavarzian, also known as Ziz, or anybody else, had a pre-existing condition that enabled him to naturally becoming hulking big, but was so powerful and stealthy that it caused a young bodybuilder to die such a painful and sudden death without any warning. Though we offer our sympathies to the parents, we also question why there was no intervention from the same set of friends and family to force Art off of his steroid HGH-driven lifestyle. Perhaps this string of deaths will need to continue until a huge pile of dead bodybuilders awakens a collection of current, future steroid users who seek big gains from the least possible effort. It is really a sad thing. I don't know if I lay the responsibility on the family or friends in any way. I think Art was an adult. He was a big boy. He knew what he was getting into. Unfortunately, ultimately, it was his responsibility. Do I think that the bodybuilding lifestyle, most likely steroids, and eating a lot, that much can be confirmed by his from his DVDs and himself speaking. He even said in a YouTube interview that he was eating a Chips Ahoy protein shake diet, just for extra calorie, I guess, to get as many calories as possible. That would be in an interview that he did with Special Ed at the 2007 Arnold Classic. So yeah, it was true that he was, and by the way, he didn't compete after 2006. But yes, he was eating a lot. He was anything ranging from, as a pro bodybuilder in contest, over 250 pounds up to 330 in the off season, probably 280 for a good portion of those years. After 2006, even him slimming down was not that slim. He may have not gone through the strains of the diuresis that would have been required to compete, but he would have been huge and carrying a lot of body weight. Even 250 pounds at just under 6 feet tall, it's still a lot of body weight, a lot of strain on the heart, combined with what it takes to get there, which I would speculate would be anabolic steroids, growth hormones. I don't know that for a fact. I would just assume that. Is that bad on the heart? Body weight, supplements, massive food intake, most likely steroids. Yeah, that is. And I would not say that necessarily it's a sure guaranteed way to die, but there are some definite risks with that. And who knows what else was taking place. Ultimately, though, it is a sad story. Like I say, I got along well with Art when I did communicate with him through email. I was taken aback when he died. I thought it was pretty sad. Any comments about this, I would love to hear below. It's just nice to get these discussions going. I think online is the place to talk about it, ideally respectfully, and get the information out there to other competitors without necessarily bashing what they do. As I said before, the war on drugs makes it impossible to legitimize this discussion. We have to start it somewhere. We can start it online, and we can do a good job with that.